Right, we are going to start the build of this beautiful lunchbox. The fun and very detailed model from Tamiya that everyone loves. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy this build. So this is a big thank you to Peter Smith of CW01 Creations for gifting me this lovely lunchbox. So yeah, gonna have some fun. So in the usual Tamiya fashion, you've got everything in one page here for your safeties, what you should have, tools, paints, everything all here. And all those newcomers, yeah, do read this and have a look at this so that you are aware of what you need to do, because these things do rip. So we're going to go and head to step one. And with step one, they want you to charge the battery. Well, there's our battery charged up. And on the second part of step one, they want you to connect everything together. And you're thinking, whoa, what's all these wires going on here? So here's your receiver, my receiver here. Here's your servo that does the steering for you. So for those newcomers, here's your electronic speed controller, and here's your motor. So essentially what we're trying to do is actually neutralize this. So in the fashion that you do, you turn on your controller first of all, and then you turn on your system, okay, and you should be able to see that. And you need to make sure that's neutralized. So I'm just turning the steering a few times. There we go. So that's now neutralized. We've got a neutralized servo. Just check, make sure we've got power. There we go. Brake and reverse. Done. So that's step two. Done. Okay. There's a little separate programming manual for the TBL-EO2 speed controller here. You need to sort of do a little bit of setup with that, but I'll touch on that later. So the next thing you need to do for part one is from the P tree, again, you've got a little P here, you need to locate your P5 or P6, so whichever one fits your servo. So simple case of take your servo and just feel if it lines over the splines, and as this one does, no problem. So it's this one here. For me, which is P5. Okay, so we now have our P part. Place that onto the servo, and that completes the first step. So straight away into step two, we need a BA2, so that's from bag A. We need two of the BA7s, which are the 3mm washers, again from bag A. And we need BB1. We need two of these. They're 3x8mm self-tapping screws. We need two of those, and that's from bag B. Also from bag B, we need a BB2, which is a 3x12mm screw. Two of the BB7s, which are the ball connector nuts, 5mm, so two of those. We need from bag C, we need a BC2, which is a 2x8mm cap head, two of those. And we also need our BC3, which is a 2.6x10mm machine screw with a pan head. We also need some parts from parts P. So we've got P4, we then got P2, and we've also got P1, which is the little washer. And we also need from the A parts, the A2, which are the servo mountings. And of course our servo. Right, we're gonna need to put these together. Right. So let's start with the little servo, the P2 part. So we're going to take our 2x8mm cap heads, and we're going to put these in the two outer holes here and here. There are two outer holes. And then we're going to put the ball connector, the 5mm ball connector, we're going to put that on there as well. So I'm just going to put a little bit of blue thread lock on, because I like to just, because it's metal, I like to put these through. So it's a case of just pop these on and just twist them on, and they will go on all the way home like that. And then the other one, there go, like that. There we are. So they're now on, and all I'm going to do is, because I've got the Tamiya kit, I got the screwdriver sets, I'm just going to use those. So I'm going to use on one side, I'm just going to hold the nut, and then on the other side just nip that through, and that's it. So that's done. And then the other one, just nip that through. Don't have to go too mad, just as long as it's nipped up. Yeah, that's those. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to pop the spring on. It's like a servo saver spring. So again, you have to make sure that you get these ball connectors right, and then put your servo saver spring on. So you just got to give that a good shove across there. There we go. And this technically then goes with your P1 in here. You then take whichever screw fits your servo. In this case, the BA2, which is a 3x10mm, goes across there, and then you put that on your servo like that. And you can put a bit of thread lock on your servo horn as well. I'm gonna be all right with this one. All right. And then just to test it, just to make sure, push it against, it should spring open. There we are. All right. Which it does, which is good. And then what we now need to do, we need to put the servo onto the mount, and just correct orientation here, the holes at the bottom and the blank side, because there's all the notches here and little notches on the other side. So make sure you got it the right way around, and you're effectively bottom hole into the bottom of the servo. Okay, so take your washer and your 8mm screw, 3x8mm screw, and your little washer, pop that on there, pop that on there, and then you put that into place and screw that through. And again, use your screwdriver just to screw that home. Don't have to go too mad. Again, just need to nip it up. There we are, that's one. And again, I'll do the other one. There we are. Take your mount, screw through, screwdriver, and then capture the hole. There we go. There we are. And there we go. Done. That is nice. Just nip it up again. Don't go too mad. So you just need to nip them up. There you are. It's completed with your servo mounting. All right. Right, for part three, we need some of these C5 parts. We need 4 of those, and we also need the BB1s, which are the 3x8mm screws, and it's a case of screwing these onto the chassis like that. And this is the part 3, where you screw these in and just nip them up. So now all 4 are on the chassis. So that's part 3 completed. We need 2 of the BB2s, the 3x12mm self-tappings, and from bag A we need the 3mm washers. We need 2 of those, and we're going to pop our servo into our chassis. So here we go. Just pop these screws in and tighten the servo down to the chassis. So it's a case of just keeping them nice and flush and just nip them up. Again, don't go too mad. And that's quite easy done. Nice easy step. And that will be step 4 once we've got those in place, completed. And it's yeah, nice and straightforward so far. No complications. So there's a nip up there, finger tight, and a nip up there, finger tight. Not too mad. And so there you are, there's your servo in place, and it comes through the chassis like that. Right, on to step 5. So we are now on step 5, and got to make a couple of decisions here. We've got whether you have a CPR unit, which I don't have, or whether you have the separate receiver switch and ESC unit. Yeah, so kind of it says put the speed controller on the top here. I don't really want it on the top because it overlaps. It just looks a bit bulky and overlaps on the top. So I was going to stick that in here like this and stick my receiver instead, because then my receiver tube can come up through the top. So yeah, I'm going to sort of stick that against this side bit here, and hopefully that'll be okay. And then I'll tidy up the cabling, and we've also got to put the switch in and down and screw the switch in, which you use a couple of the 2mm by 6mm screws with a couple of washers. So yeah, get on and do that. So this is a nice easy step really. Couple of strong double-sided tapes here, and just literally is a case of put your double-sided tape on, peel your double-sided tape, take where you want it to be, and press it firmly into position. So somewhere there, looks about central. What do you think, guys? Am I about central? Yeah, about that. That'll do. Yeah, and then give it a jiggle. Make sure it's nice and tight. And again, same with the receiver. Put some of the double-sided tape on already. This is a stronger one that comes with than the Tamiya one. This is a sort of a really quite aggressive one. And then again, I've routed the put a couple of little holes through the chassis here because I like my wires to be a bit more neater. So yeah, you just pop that in, and again in there like so, and give it a little press down, and like I say, they're not going nowhere. And now we've got to do the switch. And for the little switch, just got to get the switch in the right position underneath, and a couple of little screws. And I use the existing screws because they're black, and a couple of the washers, which it says from the manual, which are the BC5 washers. And I always make sure that the switch, it gets knocked, that's the on position. Sounds easy, but it's a simple thing. That way, if you do accidentally knock something underneath and it knocks it as you're going forward, you're going to be hitting the switch on all the time rather than turning the switch off and it just stopping. So anyway, there you go. That's the switch in place. And again, don't go too mad. Nip it up so it's nipped up. It's nice and tight. And there you are. That's done. Nice here. Now we've got to tidy up some cabling.